Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. An Elmira councilman will appear in court to answer a misdemeanor charge. Our Maggie Hall has the latest on that story.
Elmira City Councilman Nick Grasso is scheduled to appear in court. The councilman will answer to misdemeanor DWI charges on March 30th. Police report that Grasso was involved in a one-car crash that occurred on March 16th, causing property damage outside of a funeral home in the city of Elmira. While Councilman Grasso has declined to comment, he has released a full statement on Facebook. In his statement, the councilman says that he is fully cooperating with authorities. However, he does not make any reference and does not address the misdemeanor DWI charges. In his statement, the councilman admits that the car crash occurred while he was on his way home from a town hall meeting. Big Fox News will continue to keep you updated on this developing story. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Elmira.
A Corning man has pleaded guilty today to killing a woman in her apartment last summer. Brett Hafner was charged with second-degree murder for the death of 26-year-old Kelly Collins. Collins was found unresponsive in her Corning apartment on August 5th of last year. The official cause of death was determined to be strangulation with a rope or cord. Hafner faces 25 years to life in prison and will remain in Steuben County Jail until his sentencing in May. A family of 5 has lost their home after a fire. Kaylee Johnson and Dylan Dool, along with their 3 young children, were uninjured by the fire. However, all of their belongings, along with their beloved dog, were taken. A GoFundMe has been set up to help the family, as well as a clothing drive. The Horseheads Historical Society Museum held a grand reopening today, featuring works of art from the Elmira Regional Art Society. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg stopped by the museum to find out more about the importance of local art and history.
Local art is one way for communities to document and appreciate the world around them. Earlier today at the Horseheads Historical Museum, new works of art were on display to celebrate the reopening of the museum.
And they were closed down for a little bit of remodeling, and today is the grand reopening. And we have a brand new exhibit up of about 15 members' artwork for you to come and view, and it will be up for about 2 months.
The artwork on display here at the Horseheads Historical Museum were all created by local artists. Exhibits like these help demonstrate the importance and beauty of both local art and artists.
Well, local art is very important because it's a reflection of the area around where the people live. And we have members in our art society that are just beginning. We have members that are professional artists, and they all have a different take on what it is to be in this area and live in this area, and that's reflected in their artwork.
It is so rewarding. It's so rewarding to see paint go on a paper and then see what becomes of it. But I think the best part is the friends that I've made and the people that I've met, and the exposure to art and crafts, the things that I've been exposed to that I never was aware of before.
You can see more pieces by the Elmira Regional Art Society by visiting the Horseheads Historical Museum or the countless other places where the Society has exhibits, such as local hospitals, libraries, and restaurants. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Horseheads.
Former President Donald Trump is addressing his supporters ahead of a possible indictment. On Monday, a New York grand jury heard from another witness. Madeline Rivera has more.
New York City officials are ramping up security as they prepare for a possible indictment of former President Donald Trump.
Our enemies are desperate to stop us.
Former President Donald Trump maintaining his innocence as a Manhattan grand jury weighs possible criminal charges against him. The case surrounds Mr. Trump's role in an alleged hush money payment made during the 2016 election to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
These 4 horrible, radical left Democrat investigations of your all-time favorite president, me, is just a continuation of the most disgusting witch hunt.
On Monday, the grand jury heard from Robert Costello, the one-time legal advisor to Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. He testified for more than 2 hours and tried to poke holes in Cohen's claims that he made the payments at Trump's direction.
I saw Michael Cohen on TV stating things that he said he was going to tell the grand jury. So I'm sitting at home watching these lies, and I said, I've got to do something about it.
Cohen firing back, telling Fox News Digital, quote, "Truth is truth, and the documents in the possession of the District Attorney of New York demonstrate this." Now, some House Republicans are demanding Manhattan's DA testify before Congress about his handling of the case.
The tough part is with a local DA playing in presidential politics. If that starts right there, don't you think it'll happen across the country?
The NYPD has unloaded metal barricades and more police officers are patrolling downtown Manhattan ahead of potential protests. In New York, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is projecting calm to Americans amid a looming banking crisis at the same time as the Fed kicks off their two-day meeting. Rich Edson has the latest from Washington.
The situation is stabilizing, and the U.S. banking system remains sound.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen trying to restore confidence in the banking industry after the sudden collapse of Silicon Valley Bank in early March, followed by New York-based Signature Bank. The government protected all deposits at both banks, even those with amounts above the federally insured $250,000 limit.
You should rest assured that we will remain vigilant.
At the annual American Bankers Association summit in D.C., Yellen said swift government action protected the industry and the economy, and that more might be necessary.
Similar actions could be warranted if smaller institutions suffered deposit runs that pose the risk of contagion.
She says she wants to avoid large-scale withdrawals across the country on fears of more collapses. The U.S. is reportedly studying ways to temporarily guarantee all bank deposits. A banking meltdown could derail the Fed's plans this week to raise interest rates again. Fed officials are expected to announce a quarter-point rate hike. Some investors have called on the Fed to hold off, citing worries over more stress on American banks.
I do think the Fed is responsible for some of this bank fiasco.
Some economists argue the Fed should stay the course.
I think in the long run, they need to say, let's stay with the priority being get inflation back down so that we can now manage this economy.
The Fed's two-day meeting begins Tuesday with an interest rate announcement expected Wednesday. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Your forecast is next, plus this.
The United Nations issuing a new report that members say is a survival guide for preventing worsening climate change. I'm Jackie Ibanez, details straight ahead.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
It was another beautiful day in the sunshine. It's nice to at least see that spring sunshine show off, as we do note that much of winter showed off some spring temperatures, but to even see that sun angle change and see that any snowfall that we have been hanging out is definitely seeing some big decreases. Now note that we were dealing with a little bit on the cooler side here into the weekend, so it was nice to feel the warmth again with that sunshine, with a high 52 for our Monday. We were back up into those 50s for our Tuesday, again into our Wednesday. We're looking at even flirting with the 60s as our average for this time of the year, hovers just around about 47 degrees, so we're looking at that surplus of 10 degrees now in temperature trends for even highs as well as low conditions. Now there will be some turnaround in that weather pattern. What we'll notice as we head into Wednesday is that we are going to be increasing some cloud cover as we start to see some of that higher level cloud cover work its way in. We'll still be able to see the warming at the surface, but it's going to signal changes that will be moving on in with some rainy weather on Thursday. It's going to be light rainfall, but it's going to push on through, and when we have active weather, they're associated with what we call low pressure systems, and that's what typically has those warm and cold fronts that we talk about. So the warm front is what's been giving us southerly winds, those temperatures climbing, but the backside of low pressure systems that typically come with cold fronts is what is going to push us into some cooler weather. Now it's not going to be cold. We're not going to see as cool of conditions we had this weekend, but holding closer to its average or even a few degrees below that, which is going to bring us even maybe the potential to mention some wintry precipitation with some active weather that will hold on through our weekend forecast. But as mentioned, heading into Wednesday, still a pretty quiet day. We have mostly cloudy skies around. Again, still some sunshine to filter on through some of that cloud cover to start the day, allowing for temperatures to climb into those 50s. We'll head into Thursday with still mild temperatures as we'll be ahead of that frontal system that's pushing that moisture in, giving us highs even into the 60s. Thursday is going to feel like really the end of spring nearly as we hit those lower 60s and bring in some rainy weather. Now, accumulation is going to be light. It's not going to be a washout forecast. Pretty just light and rainy conditions, really bringing that spring-like feel to the region, where we look at accumulation to be just around about 1/4 inch. Now, starting on Thursday, that low is going to work its way on through and send us into some active weather. So that's going to be associated also with some breezy winds. And note that the winds aren't consistent. These arrows here at the bottom, the switching winds, some south, some north, some from the east, some from the west, but all strong winds, which is what's going to keep us under some active weather and keep us on our toes with that precipitation potential with changing temperatures. So as mentioned, we do cool off, but this is still close to average for this time of the year. Friday won't be a washout, just some gloomy skies, a few sprinkles possible. Saturday, the day might start with some wintry mix, but mostly rain showers expected through the daytime. We get a little break as we return to the 50s, but even next week, we look to continue to talk about the wind potential and more precipitation.